That's right. It's the morning show right here on Facebook Live, Periscope TV, YouTube Live, and of course, our good friends at LinkedIn. Glad to have you with us. On today's show, we're going to be joined by Melissa Gonzalez of the Lioness Group, also with a special guest of hers, which actually happens to know a lot about gaming. So much so, she helped a company which we all know, Google Play, become as big as it is today. And now she's launched her own skincare line. We'll talk about that for gamers, for everyone. I think you're going to find this a little bit entertaining and then some. Also joining us over there in the other wing at the other location is Mr. Jesse Sanchez. Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning.
Lots of people tuning in right now. Big shout out to those tuning in live. We've got, let's see, Rosalie, who says, good morning, beautiful people. Why, thank you, Rosalie. We appreciate you. Bobby over there says, good morning, show, Earthlings, Earth, thank you. And we all do live on this Earth. Stephanie Reed says, hello, happy editing this glorious busy day ahead with writing scripts, Zoom meetings, and on set for upcoming productions coming up today. Awesome. We got a name there. Srihari Korala says, good morning, friend from Nepal. I apologize, but the Facebook is having a bit of an issue as well, so your pictures are not coming up. But if you're tuning in and you're one of our friends, then stick with it, and we'll make it all work. Technology sometimes just, doesn't always work as planned. But look, wherever you're tuning in from, let us know where you're tuning in from. Again, we appreciate you. We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back right after these messages with more. Stay tuned. All right, and for those of you tuning in, I just want to make sure you could hear Jesse. Otherwise, we're going to have a whole repeat of last week. And make sure I'm not echoing. Jesse, can you say a couple words? Let me see if I can hear you.
Say a couple words.
Okay, more than a couple words.
Hello, I'm just having some fun with Aaron.
All right, I'm just.
You got to make fun of the day.
Yeah, I hear that. Perfect. Okay, you're awesome. Okay, there was a delay, but there it is. Okay, so you're good. And for those of you tuning in, that's the feed right there. So I can see some of your comments there. But I can pull out your comments from everywhere, by the way, which is why I love this program here. So I can pull it out from Periscope, from YouTube, from LinkedIn. So wherever you're tuning in from, feel free to do so and comment. And if I can, I could totally turn his Twitter off, please. What does that mean? I have no idea what that means. Let's see. Lucy says this. Good morning, guys. All the way tuning in from Bentonville, Arkansas. Awesome. Glad to have you, Lucy. Thank you for tuning in. Arkansas is in the house. That's even better. I've never
I have
visited.
no idea. I have no idea where that is.
Arkansas? It's near.
Yeah.
It's near the other states that are surrounding it. Look, what? I think the initials are AK. No, is that which one's Alaska? I can't remember. We're so sorry, Lucy. We flunked in geography. Actually, I was really good in geography because I was good at memorization, but I, would forget about it like a year later. So when you don't use it, you lose it,
That is true.
Okay, so look, we got lots of stories to talk about today on the show. Some of which, unfortunately, this one, very sad day. Eddie Van Halen, right, Jesse? Come on. Did you know of course he's a record setter. Did you know he's a patent holder?
No, I did not.
Smart man.
Yeah, I was so totally shocked when I found out that he passed.
The volume, variety, and velocity of data is ever expanding. And that's bringing great promise, but also great peril.
Actually, let me know if you can hear that. Let me turn that down all the way. There we go. Okay, so yes, we'll talk about that and more. Coronavirus, still here. Who knew? Oh, yeah, we did.
I did.
Yeah. But remember, Jesse, even you at one point, come on. Even at one point, you're like, it's probably not. Remember? You don't remember that, huh?
No, we say a lot of stuff, so I try and stay in the positive, but I don't know.
Yeah, if you look farther back, I was the one, I looked like the crazy one.
20 seconds.
But here we are. All right, thanks. All right, let's see. As we're getting ready to go there, let's see. Coronavirus, let's see. Teen arrested at Florida school after refusing mask. Ouch. Email points to ban on masks in virus hit jail. Okay. Judge IRS cannot keep virus money from inmates. What? Inmates could get it? Wow. That's a lot of cigarettes. That's right. It's the morning show right here on ABC News Radio, KMET, 1490 AM. Joining our live streaming audience there, Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, of course, Apple TV via the Periscope app. We appreciate you. LinkedIn Live, and however else you may be getting us, we appreciate you. On today's show, we're going to be talking a little bit later to Melissa Gonzalez, all the way from the East Coast of Lioness Group, where she's going to be kicking it with us, as well as talking not just shopping, but also some cool new products out there for the gamer in your life. We're going to be talking to a founder of a really cool company. And this company is doing some pretty cool stuff. Even Prime is the name, but the founders actually comes from the world of gaming herself. She actually was one of the founding members of the Google Play business development team, and under her leadership, Play's mobile games business grew 10 times to $10 billion. That was by 2015. So we're going to talk to the fantastic mind behind that fantastic thing. And of course, it always takes a village to do something really big like that. But if you have downloaded a game anytime recently under Google Play, you probably already know it's where it's at as of late. Speaking of which, you got Mr. Jesse Sanchez over there. Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning.
Obviously, Jesse, you're a gamer of different sorts. Not necessarily mobile gaming, right? Or are you?
I play a few mobile games.
Okay. And I say that because obviously, you know, Google Play has a lot of really cool... If you have an Android, basically, and you download a game, there's where it's at, right? Mm-hmm. Candy Crush was my one of choice, which I got so addicted to, I decided to have to delete it once I got to, I think, a level 180. And don't get addicted to that, Jesse. Seriously, don't. But a lot of freemium models, which actually make pretty good money on little, like, purchases, right? They call them, like, micro payments. And you have, like, 1 million people pay, like, a penny each. There you go. You could do the math. Or $1 each, and there you go. You do the math. So for some that have a lot of time, I say take up the world of application development. There's classes and courses you could take that if you've wanted to perhaps do a really cool like app, now's the time to do it, right? During coronavirus, maybe you got a weekend, maybe you have a week all to yourself, and pick up a really cool additional task. You could still launch your own game. It could be a simple game at that. I know we have some really creatives in our field here. Speaking of which, let's do shout outs coming up here, which if you're tuning into our social media feed, if you're on the radio, you're definitely going to want to add us. Aaron Michael Sanchez right there. Add us, and you'll be able to comment, and we'll have your comment broadcast to everyone online. How cool is that? And via Apple TV, of course, because we are still on TV. And technically, you could broadcast your own Facebook channel or live stream to your TV. Do you know how to do that, Jesse? I don't. I've been trying to figure it out.
No, I do not. I wish I did.
Yeah. So, you have to have a compatible, I think, television to do that, I believe. So there you go. Let's see. This is a statement from, I need somebody else to do this for me. It's hard to read and make sure these are PG comments. Lucy Nichols says, hey, I suppose you don't like Walmart. Where's Walmart headquarters? I don't even know where that statement comes from. I don't, maybe she's talking about something that I'm missed. I actually like Walmart. Here's what I don't like. The long lines. I hate the long lines. And then I personally don't like the way they're like if I have to go between two shopping places, it'll be Target every time, hands down. Target is much more family friendly, and they figured out how to do it early on. I think people at Walmart get frustrated. Is it just me, or do you get frustrated when you go to Walmart, Jesse?
It's easy to get frustrated in Walmart. It's so packed.
Yeah.
there's always seems to be room in Target to move and stuff like that. So
I agree. Shout out to Stephanie who says, I know I'm addicted to that game, Best Friends. Very addictive. So there you go. So we'll be talking about that around the corner. But let's talk about the top news of the hour. Of course, many sharing their own thoughts. Eddie Van Halen. This was a sad statement I saw as of yesterday. Of course, many people commenting and many loving the music of Eddie Van Halen. Some of the stuff I didn't know, though, about his past. You know, he got his start on the piano and drums.
really,
Yeah, he'll of course will be forever known as his guitar playing, but he got to start with a different instrument. With his older brother, he received piano lessons at an early age. For 3 years, he won first place, get this, at an annual piano competition in California. That was in 1964.
wow.
After his brother Alex switched to the guitar, he bought a drum kit. But his natural talent with the guitar prompted his brother to ask them to switch again. According to the Eddie Van Halen birthday special newsletter, it said, quote, when Alex started to then learn to play drums, overtaking Eddie's own abilities, the younger of the two switched to guitar, instantly becoming attached to it, locking himself away in his bedroom as a teen to practice walking around the house with his guitar strapped on yet unplugged. The two brothers would form the core of what would later become Van Halen through 4 turbulent decades of platinum albums, sold-out tours, and a revolving door of singers. Did you know that Van Halen actually never was able to read music?
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
he learned everything he knew from observing other musicians. So he was a visual, what I call a kinetic, meaning you can watch somebody, then you do it, and you go, oh, okay, that's how you do it, right? Which I say to some parents out there that when you have a very gifted young adult or teenager or a very young one, sometimes dumbing it down to music can sometimes be more harmful than good. Does that make sense? What I'm saying is this. Some people have the innate ability to just hear the music and replicate it, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the rest of us that don't have that talent, we need to know what music is, what, music theory and the like. But there's some that at a very early age, just let them experiment, right? Let them try out their stuff. See how they best learn. Because sometimes getting to the reading of music can be more problematic and traumatic to the kid, to where the kid's like, I've checked out of the building. I'm done. So let them experiment. Let them experiment. There's some really cool gifts. But back to Van Halen. In one interview, he talked about how he'd improvise during piano recitals. He said this, quote, 90% of the things that I do on guitar, if I had taken lessons and learned to play by the book, I would not play at all the way I do. You see that? That right there. Perfect example. So there you go. Lots of interesting news I didn't know. His band actually set a Guinness World Record. In '83, he performed with his band on Heavy Metal Day at the U.S. Festival in San Bernardino, California. Hey, that's our neck of the woods, Jesse.
Yeah, it is.
You know how much they made in that 90-minute set? I'll give you a hint. It's over $500,000.
750,000.
Ooh, so close. If you doubled that, you probably have it. $1.5 million.
Wow.
But that was in '83, Jesse. So what is that equivalent to in nowadays prices? At least what? Triple that amount, right? Maybe quadruple.
Yeah, say that.
Yeah, I don't know what the going rate of the dollar is compared to '83, but I can't imagine it's better. At the time, the Guinness Book of World Records recognized it as the highest paid single appearance of a band. In an interview with Guitar World in 2014, he said this, quote, I remember hearing a DJ on the radio saying that we made so much money per second. What he didn't realize is that we put every penny of that into the production. So it basically paid off, right? It paid off as a break even. He holds several patents, by the way. Very smart man. The man who created the Frankenstrat, that's a cross between a Fender and a Gibson guitar, holds 3 different patents, all of them having to do with guitars. His first patent in 1987 was for a supporting device that allowed the musician to perform hands-free, thus allowing the player to create new techniques and sounds previously unknown to any player. In 1997, he got his second patent for a guitar peg head, and in 2017, check this out, just a few years ago, His third patent was for a stringed instrument with adjustable string tension control. How cool is that? Smart man. So, of course, he's one of the greatest guitarists in rock history. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2007. This year, Guitar World placed him 4th in his annual poll of 100 greatest guitarists of all time. And so there you go. Again, a man among men, but I would say a quite intelligent man. Not often thought of in that way, unless you knew him personally, right? And shout out to Jesse Torres, who is of Boldface Gear, posted a picture with him as well, and I think they did some business together, and I know he knows him personally, but I never knew him personally. But I would imagine the stories that are coming out are going to continue to coming out, because you could just see in his face just what, even though a legend in his own right, quite a humble man, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a very kind man at that, which you know, begs the question, why did he have to die at such an early age, right? Which I think is the question of the day for each and every one of us. As long as you have to live on this earth, you may not have patents, you may not be a guitar aficionado, but you know what? You have the right thing to do in your head. Make it work for yourself. Okay, we got to take a break here on the morning show. We'll be back with more right after these messages. Stay tuned. All right, we are still here with you all, and I appreciate you. Let's see some comments there. Rosalie says, my 17-year-old can pick up any instrument, play by ear. I'm so proud but jealous, right? It's not available for all of us to do that special talent, right? Let's see. Bobby, he reinvented his style of music. It's so true. And I always say to parents that have a gifted young one, just let them play. Let them play it out. Don't tie their hands by making them learn sheet music. You understand? It's a good thing to learn later, but some kids just don't. They just can play by ear. I know of 5 that could do that. At the young early age of, I want to say 6. One who I used to take care of, he just amazing young child, super amazing, and to say no, you need to learn through sheet music, I'd say no, keep that stuff away from him. Let him experiment. Let him find his own path. Right? Sometimes parents don't realize they put undue pressure on a child that has a special talent, not realizing that the kid could pick it up on their own. In their own right? But support them. Give them the tools. Give them the tools. Let's see. Bobby over there says, search Rare Van Halen, YouTube, Google, and Edge. All right. So however you're tuning in, we appreciate you. Again, big shout out to those tuning in. Jackie, we see you. Mario, we see you. Let's see. Nancy, we see you. Thank you. Casey, we see you. Thank you. Deborah, we see you. We know you're quiet over there, but I still see you. Jesse, thank you. David, thank you. Edinia, tuning in. Thank you. And I get it. A lot of our viewers are passive viewers. What I call, that's what I do. And then suddenly my name pops up. They go, hey, Aaron's watching. Oh, man. You ever do that, Jesse? You're watching a video and you're like, they call you out. You're like, darn it. I was trying to be here incognito. You ever do that?
Maybe sometimes. I might use an alternate account.
Oh, Jesse has an alternate account. Ooh.
20 seconds.
Ouch. Be careful, people with alternate accounts. I know a lot of women that do that on their man.
10 seconds.
Let me go spy on him.
Oh, that's creepy.
The women do it, man. Just letting you know.
2 seconds.
All right. That's right. It's the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET, 1490 AM. Joining our live stream audience there, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, of course, LinkedIn, and whatever you're tuning in on. We appreciate you. Lots of people unhappy right now. Airline executives, especially, and unions. There's a reason the Dow Jones took a huge dip as of yesterday. If you haven't been following the news, President Donald Trump's decision to end negotiations on a second round of coronavirus relief is a crushing blow to an aviation industry that has been pleading for more aid to save tens of thousands of jobs. Over 30,000 airline workers were furloughed last week and were holding out hope that they would get back to work if lawmakers reached an agreement. On Tuesday, Trump said he instructed his representatives, get this, to, quote, stop negotiating with congressional Democrats on another round of coronavirus relief until after the election. Aviation industry leaders had been asking for a $25 billion clean extension of the payroll support program that would prevent involuntary layoffs until March 2021. Airlines for America President Nick Callio said some U.S. airlines may be able to reinstate employees if they receive direct payroll assistance from the federal government soon, but that becomes increasingly challenging with each passing day. Now, on the flip side, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who signaled Friday that the House could potentially pass a standalone bill to extend the PSP for airline workers, said by walking away from coronavirus relief talks, Trump is showing his contempt for science, his disdain for our heroes in healthcare, first responders, sanitation, transportation, food workers, teachers, and others. American Airlines said it was disheartened to hear negotiations had halted. The carrier said in a statement, quote, the past week has dealt a crushing blow to the American Airlines team and the aviation industry. We were hopeful that overwhelming bipartisan support for the payroll support program would result in immediate action to protect jobs and service to communities across the country. Sarah Nelson, president of the Association of Flight Attendants, which represents flight attendants from multiple U.S. airlines, said her union will begin emergency meetings to determine our options to protect people and keep them from harm. Said, quote, we need rational people to take control and help our nation. Thank you. Look, whatever side of the aisle you're on, I don't care. I really don't care. Look, I've seen many people think I always go up against Trump. All right, I don't always. I go against the Democrats too, especially the stupid ones, okay? And Nancy, I'm going to call out some stupidity that you guys put into the bill that made it even impossible to pass. You put in some things that, according to the other camp, is saying, look, why did you put this stuff in? It doesn't even make any sense, right? Why are you paying off people that shouldn't get paid off? Are you putting in perhaps favors and or things for your own friends? Which I say, hey, let's not do that. Let's do the right thing, right? However, here's my contempt for somebody saying, let's wait till after the election. Well, what are you waiting for? Are you trying to buy a vote? Is that even a thing? Are you basically saying, look, when I get reelected, I'll make it work? To which I say, to what level of depravity have we gotten down to? Seriously. Look, at the end of the day, if this were not an election year, what would you have done? Democrats and Republicans, okay? Put you all into a room, lock you in. Talk about everybody being locked down. Put you all locked into a room. Make sure you get tested first, right? So you don't spread any of that harmful stuff in other people's vicinity. Make sure everybody gets tested. Okay, you guys are going to be locked down for a whole week, all right? No showers, you'll get fed, all right? You'll get fed through a door, right? Like a prison. And you guys are going to be made to be like kids that have to get to work it out. You know the parent that says, hey, who's the one that did wrong? Nobody wants to admit to that, right? No one? Okay, you're all on lockdown. It's called detention. Put them for a week. Everybody in detention mode, okay? You're not allowed to take a shower. You're going to smell by the end of the week. You're going to be embarrassed. And you know what? I say, let's do that to get America's nation back on track. Why do they get to go home and have breaks and have lunch breaks and have these little moments in time, and they can't get to doing? Because from what I see from each and one of these Democrats and the Republicans, well suited up. Look, I'm well suited up because I put on a suit each and every day, but I'm not at the helm trying to make decisions for the rest of America. Back to the American Airlines and every other business and or person that's been relying on this need. How many people out there are sick and tired of government saying, we don't have enough time? Back to the president who says, I'm going to delay the time because let's focus on what matters most, my presidency. I say, grow up. Grow up. Each and every one of you, Democrats and Republicans, grow up. I'm sick and tired of you acting like little children out there. They don't want to agree with me. I'm so sad. Do you have families that are hurting? Do you have businesses that are hurting? Do you know, how long has it been since the last, Jesse, do you remember when I said the last time there was a stimulus bill, I said, look, this is a good start, but I have a feeling they're going to have to go a second time, and they're going to have to make some hard decisions. They're going to have to do that. Remember that? How long ago was that?
I think that was in June.
Yeah. I want to say August, but maybe it was in June. But look, at the end of the day, I said this, and I said, look, we're going to have to make tough decisions. We're going to have to make tough decisions. And in reality, each and every one of us, I think if you put 8 of us together in a room, we could figure it out for the rest of the country. I do think that. Maybe you'd say, well, I'm not smart enough to run a whole country. Okay, but what makes you think President Trump is? I heard it recently said on an interview, well, you know, he's a good businessman. Well, he's a terrible person to put at a corporation to say, you know what, let's keep our friends and family safe in a corporation, right? If I had to work for President Trump, which, back to Secret Service, he puts them in harm's way, right? In the same vehicle, I'd say, look, make a divider, make it necessary, or you guys put on not just face masks, but like a different apparatus to be able to not breathe in my right? I guarantee you Trump's doing that. I could almost guarantee you. Spit little particles going around in that vehicle, right? And if he was running a corporation, I would probably get fired right now. Because I'd be the person, the whistleblower, to say, hey, people, you guys do see this guy. He's just throwing contempt to the wall. And evidently, instead of trying to, look, this guy is the person. Here's why I take issue with this man. He wrote, supposedly, one of the best-selling books ever. He talks about all the time on negotiating and selling. Well, then, if you are such a great negotiator, why don't you step into... Oh, yeah, you can't. That's right, because you got coronavirus. Then do a virtual little thing. Put a little robot in. They have those, by the way. Go in via, like, electronic version and be in the same room with... I think Ellen's doing that with her audience, right? She's putting them on, like, little TVs and setting it up in the TV station there, right? Do that, and then let's get, come on. How difficult is it to Zoom with the rest of the party of the representatives of the House? How difficult is it to say, hey guys, let's throw away Republican versus Democrat, and let's just do the right thing by the American people, and let's take line item by line item and say, do you really need that, and why do you need it? Now, I get it. In every single bill that ever has gone past, there's little subsections of it. Usually, if you look at bills, they're like this thick, right? You're like, well, how can we pass something that long? So which I say, fine, lock everybody up. Guess what? You guys are going to come down to it. You're going to be like, yeah, we don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. Hey, guys, before you get locked in another week, why don't you remove all the crap that's in there? And then let's focus and let's reconvene in less than 20 minutes and let's get down to the decision, okay? If you operate it like that, I know what people are saying. This can't be done. I feel it can be done, and it should be done. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, independent, Republican, Democrat. I don't care if you're from another country. Do the right thing by your people, the people that pay your salaries, the ones that say, look, we're going to keep you in office because guess what? Well, I know President Trump's like, I don't take $1 from everybody. Well, you know what? Then get out of office. Go back to work at your own luxury of your own place because you're not doing anything for the American people right now. I'm sorry. It has to be said. I'm upset. I'm mad. I'm angry for the right reason. I'm ready to take out anybody that thinks, oh, this is right by the American people. You're talking about businesses already crashing, stocks already plummeting, which I said this was going to happen. Financial burnout, all happening because somebody says, let's just wait till after the election. What do you think is going to change after that? What if you, President Trump, are not elected, Biden gets elected? Are you all of a sudden going to say, well, we're going to put it off till the end of the year because obviously or are you going to fight the fact that the American people don't want anybody other than you? Agree or disagree? All right, people, I want your comments and social media. We're going to switch gears. I got Melissa Gonzalez just rearing to go over there, talking about something entirely different. I may or may not return to that conversation, but just know this. My thoughts are mine alone. They do not reflect those of any of our affiliates, especially ABC News Radio, KMT 1490 AM. And I apologize if I am speaking very heated, but the time has to stop. It has to stop. The insanity has gone next level in that man's head. And anybody in his administration should at least say this: derelict of duty. Derelict of duty. Coronavirus can and often does attack the mind. Those that have been sick and or like they've seen hallucinations, they've seen things, right? I think Cuomo's brother ended up saying, yeah, I saw some crazy stuff, which so fever can happen. I say put Pence in office right now. Oh, wait, he is in office? Put him at the handstand. Get him in the same room. Would he do the same thing, or would he be just a yes man, which is unfortunately all I've ever seen of Pence. He's just a yes man. I think even the supporters of Trump go, yeah, he's a yes man. Okay, so let's not have a yes man in office. But come on. If this were Crimson Tide, I would say, if anybody hasn't seen that movie, great movie, by the way, Gene Hackman, Denzel Washington, no, you're out of order. I take over the right to be able to take over you because you're not doing the right thing by the people. And if you saw that movie, you see they were both kind of right in their own way, but at the end of the day, Denzel Washington was right. Be the Denzel Washington of America, whoever's watching in the administration, and say, hey, at least temporarily, let's make sure his little, virus in his head gets out of his head, because I think he's making some stupid decisions over there. All right, that's my time. I'm out of it. But let's take a quick little break. We'll be right back with our next guest coming up around the corner. We'll be right back right after this.
2 seconds.
That's right. It's the morning show right here on ABC News Radio, KMET, 1490 AM. Joining our live streaming audience there, Facebook, Periscope, and of course YouTube Live and LinkedIn. We appreciate each and every one of you joining us right now. Is somebody on the East Coast? This is when the East Coast meets the West Coast of the United States of America. We got Melissa Gonzalez over there. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning, Aaron. How are you?
Doing fantastic. I understand, though, the world of shopping and retail has taken such a... I'm going to keep my comments to myself. How would you describe it right now?
I think it's transforming. It's taking like a transformative approach, which is super exciting. There's a lot of closings, but there's a lot of reinvention happening. So, I think that there's going to be a lot of things that are actually better on the other side of this.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned it that way, because I was going to use a completely different word, which words mean everything. And I'm like, I love how you said that, transforming, because I will say whenever there is a dip in the economy, there is time for growth, right? And just looking at things in a different way. I remember seeing a documentary of how supermarkets were changed during the Great Depression. The supermarkets that we have now were reinvented in order to make it easy for people to shop. And those are the type of supermarkets, but they weren't always that way Depression days, right?
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, times like this drive innovation, right? Because challenges drive innovation and makes us as consumers more open to adopting new things, because we kind of have no choice. So supermarkets are on that list too now, right? You see so many integrations with like Instacart, and so many more people are shopping grocery online and pick and pack. So yeah, it's an interesting time for sure.
Well, I love our next guest, A, because I love games, and B, because I'm starting to appreciate skincare in my older years of life and having to be on camera all the time. I never used to think about skincare until most recently, and I thought, I got drooping sagginess, I've got wrinkles, and now I'm starting to feel the pain that so many others don't think about until the later years. But Melissa, who's joining us over in the wing over there?
No, yeah, I'm really excited about today's guest, and it's true. Zoom has never it's humbling, Zoom. It's a humbling experience. So I'm really excited to introduce our guest today. We have Ko Kim. She's the founder and CEO of Even Prime. So Even Prime is the premium self-care brand for men, Aaron, and women of the gaming generation. And I'm really excited about this approach and thinking differently about beauty. Previously, she was the former lead in Google Play Games business development team, where she tremendously helped to scale the business. And so, now she's doing it through her own brand. So Ko, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, and also a native to the LA area. You're in Santa Monica, right?
That's correct.
Love that. So Kim, Ko, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Even Prime? Why that name, because it has significance too within kind of gaming and your approach to beauty.
Sure. So Even Prime, as a name, right? So I've always had this, I've grown up with games all through the 90s and 2000s. And so probably owned every single game console. I was playing with my friends. It was how I connected with my younger brothers and family. To me, gaming holds a very special place. And I would say in my childhood and even growing up as part of my personal identity, because it was a platform for me to connect with others and basically really build really deep relationships, whether it's online. And if you think about it, gaming has basically built the entire make relationships and do meetings online way before that even COVID is happening now. And so I think a lot of that, I've taken a lot of that kind of culture with me. And I think with that, what's been really interesting right now is that, and we're already seeing this among the younger generation, what we call Gen Z and even younger millennials, is that a lot of these people are living not only their lives online and offline, but they're seamlessly transitioning between both. And in some respects, they're even creating separate identities. And so with Even Prime specifically, I mean, it's kind of a math joke, honestly, with the name. Even Prime just means like the number two. Two is the only Even Prime number. And I actually started working on the company in 2017, which happens to be a prime number. And also like we taken the brand to be like, hey, like what if we take in a more sci-fi futuristic bent? So that's why you're seeing a lot of like mecha anime and robots kind of really infused into like the brand itself. And I just wanted to do something and I saw something a little bit different that's occurring in beauty as well, like with the rise of the internet and people's access to information via their mobile phones. They're just becoming a lot more savvy about the products and just like really interested in like what they're putting on their skin, how they're taking like their wellness just as a whole. And so like we're seeing like a vast number of like even our community members asking very sophisticated questions about what goes into their ingredients, how are products manufactured, like not only even from the formula end all the way to packaging. Like they're definitely being a lot more mindful and I think conscious of their purchasing decisions. So I thought the two would be a good like kind of marry between the two, because you know a lot of them play games and they understand it. And at the same time, a lot of them are becoming investly interested in skincare, even at a much earlier age. So.
No, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Like Aaron said, when you're kind of staring at your face all the time, it makes you more conscious of it. But what I think is cool is you're also integrating. I mean, I love the whole inspiration of the 90s anime and gaming nostalgia and kind of like the Star Wars inspired generation. But you also use it for your product development process, which is pretty cool. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. In the game industry, there's something like kind of known, there's a concept called beta testing. And so like a lot of the game companies actually bring in early users or players to kind of help test out the game and all that stuff. So we kind of infuse that sort of product development philosophy into how we even develop our own products. We have our own, like what we call our beta tester program that we invite our community members to be like, hey, like, we're going to invite you into our product development process and give us your input about what types of products you want to see, but specifically what kind of problems that they're having that no one else is really like addressing. And so, because a lot of the times these cosmetics brands and skincare brands often just launch products just because they want to release a new SKU, but they never really take a lot of the consumer feedback. And as a lot of that is changing, but never in such a way so that like it's so transparent with their end customers. And so I think with that, it kind of helps build a rapport and like a relationship even before like a product launches. Like we're always invested in building relationships with our customers. And in gaming, that's just something that is inherent since like day zero when they start building the game, right? So, because whenever you see a game launch, that's not necessarily like the first time like a player sees the game. Probably in most cases, that game was in beta testing for about 1 to 2 years, even before it officially unveiled. And so we're kind of taking a similar process to that. In some cases, I mean, our product development process for skincare is a little bit like, I think, quicker on the one end, but we're definitely taking a lot of like surveys, feedback on like kind of whether it's digitally. We have our own communities on like Discord and a lot of what we call dark social. So that, I mean, because skincare is very intimate, like people are not necessarily going to publicly say, I have this problem or these are things. I mean, if you look at men especially, right, they're not going to be the ones that are going to be publicly sharing a lot of their product or what they're going to use. That's not something that is very comfortable to them. And so we're trying to scale this concept of how do you scale private, like kind of discussions and gathering into our product development process in addition to, and so we're taking a lot of the inspirations from the game development front and a lot of the game companies that I've worked with in the past on how they've approached like small group testing and then also just like building out like the products and especially the features that these people are going to care about.
I have a question. This is Aaron.
Sure.
Just look, in reality, you stated some really great things. In the film and, of course, television world, focus groups are a dime a dozen, right? In the very high-end ones. And then you've got independent filmmakers that they say they don't have the time, but I think you learn a lot by finding out the reality of people that don't know your book of business and or are not in your family, friends circle, which will give it to you very raw and very detailed, so much so that I feel like you can get many mastermind groups together and they will help you come up with something entirely different. Have you seen that to be the case as well?
I definitely have seen that to be in the case, especially in some products we have currently in development. I think with COVID, it brought to light, it's not even just COVID, but then even in California specifically with the wildfires, there's just like specific issues that have come to bear really hard, especially when we look at pollution and UV exposure. Everyone's, like extended exposure to like screens. Who knows what's going to happen in like 10 years, right? As we all sit in front of like on Zoom chat all day long, right? Or on our mobile phones. So like, I definitely see that there's definitely been an uptick in certain of that activity. And like, you're not going to be able to, I think, discern that unless you pull yourself out of the weeds. And I think as any entrepreneur or like founder can relate, like it's really hard to kind of take yourself out and think like more broader picture. And so, and that's why we lean on that's why like user reviews, user like feedback is so important, because they're going to tell you in the language that they understand, which I think is like a common lesson. It's a big lesson that I learned, is that it never was about me when I built my company. It's always about the end customer. So you have to speak in their language, or else they're just not going to even have the time to like try and figure out what you're trying to like sell, or even the problems that you're trying to solve.
So I have a question. How does one become a beta tester for Even Prime?
We have an open application, and so I think the link is currently live on our Instagram lives, and then we're also making some changes too, since there's a multiple step process to officially become a beta tester, because we take it pretty seriously. So, okay. But, yeah.
Well, you look, I appreciate everything that you're doing. I understand, back to the world of gaming. I feel as though your calling in as well is to take back to your gaming like know-how. Is there something that is coming up around the corner that you're working on secretly that you could kind of tease?
We have a special holiday campaign coming soon, and I think this leads to like probably one more point that I think is going to be incredibly important, especially for retailers or those selling, is that I don't think a lot of people realize. I'm going to just talk about mobile gaming specifically. So mobile gaming, there's about 2.2 billion people playing games on mobile, and and if you think about of all smartphone use, 43% of that is games. And so if you think about the opportunity for like anyone to like not even just market, but to be able to sell or engage their community, it's actually pretty surprising how many brands haven't figured it out yet. And I think a lot of it is because, it's just like a new medium that no one really, I guess, like it's probably really hard for people to adapt. And I think in this time, you kind of have to adapt. And so I'm more excited about like what you've seen in Fortnite, a lot of the non-gaming events that are bringing in 10 million active users, like the Travis Scott concert that occurred virtually, right? You're seeing a lot of these like musicians going on games, and the musicians and themselves are the ones that are openly saying, hey, like, I'm like inspired by Dragon Ball Z. Like the number of like hip hop artists that have basically has spoken about Dragon Ball Z is pretty astounding if you look through it. So especially in the younger generation. So I definitely think there's this interesting kind of pop culture emergence occurring, especially when it's referenced to games and anime. And I think that's just because we're living in a global world now. So
you're right.
100%. So I think like with that, it's just going to be really interesting to see how like brands and even retailers themselves kind of treat games as a platform rather than just like a medium, and it's like a media IP in itself. So
absolutely.
Yeah, Melissa, look, I don't know if you're the occasional gamer. I know you got the young ones, which keep you kind of busy. But I'm just saying, if you get especially your daughter, I can see your daughter becoming like a huge fan of gaming. Quick question, Ko, if you could recommend a person, like let's say, because I know there's a lot of viewers and people that are creatives behind the scenes, meaning they go, I have this idea. I want to make it like a reality. I say take the time that you have with coronavirus if you're out of a job or unemployed and take some really cool classes to create some of these apps. How difficult do you think that is to do?
I mean, I don't actually think it's that difficult anymore. There's been a huge rise of these no-code platforms, so like that I think are really fascinating. I think some of the top games, even that are been downloaded on the app stores nowadays, are built on these no-code platforms, and it's literally like piecing together logic puzzles. It's actually really fascinating. I mean, games are very hard to develop. It's actually it's a much harder engineering problem than you would think, even compared to like a usual app.
Right.
But I think with the rise of these no-code platforms, it's just making it a lot easier and a lot more accessible for anyone to build an app. And if you think about the number of people, the number of businesses that don't even have websites, think about the number of businesses that even have apps. It's probably a very astounding number. So.
True.
No, yeah. And I look with this younger generation being like mostly virtual schooling. I think of my 5-year-old, like her awareness and knowledge around a keyboard and like what to do with her laptop at 5 is crazy. So I think that a lot of creation might come out of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I congratulate you on crossing the digital divide into something that you see as a necessary thing for all of us. I personally need some skincare tightening, firming cream. What do you got over there for me?
Beta group.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things. We just released our treatment products that are actually focused on some of the issues that you mentioned. Not only do they help combat modern environmental aggressors like air pollution, blue light exposure, and then extended UV exposure, which is our new barrier serum, which I absolutely love. And it's also fragrance free because we've built a lot of our products for those with really sensitive skin. So that's like probably one of my favorite products. We also have an eye serum that actually comes in this unique applicator pen. So it works like a mechanical pencil. So you can dispense as little or as much product as you want in your eye area without having to touch it. So I think that's like been a really popular product, especially for us recently. And then there's always the ever popular and always sold out moisturizer. So, I mean, I think I can't keep that in stock right now. And it's really light and hydrating. And all of our products will be all fragrance free. As like any game as well, we continuously update our formulas and packaging so it better fits our even customer base. So I think for many of our products, we're already going to version 2, if not version 3. And so, and it's been a really great journey along the way, kind of getting to know each and every one of our customers who's been up from day 0 and kind of has had an influence on how we've kind of changed and evolved a lot of our product lines. So,
well, for those tuning in, where do they get all the info at?
So the website is evenprime.co. That's EVENPRIME.co. Can do a special code too. So it's like actually trying to find that code for all of you, or you can give a shout, give a shout, sign up for the email list. You'll automatically get 15% off anyway. So, and that's probably gonna be the thing. So, but that's
even better. We'll post a link. You can send the link to Melissa and we'll make sure to get that out there. Melissa, I'll give you the last word to have here.
No, this was great. Like you said at the beginning of this segment, it's all about transformation. I think what you're doing within beauty is at the forefront of that innovation. And I think where we have to go with retail as far as it being infused with gaming, like we're only at the beginning. So it was really great to have you as a guest and to talk through it. And I think before the day's over, you're going to see Aaron signed up as a beta tester. That's just my prediction.
Well, you know what? Look, Melissa doesn't have to worry about her skin. I do. And I recently lost a lot of weight and I'm like, you know what? You got to be careful of how much weight you lose because then you got sagging skin. So I need the tightening portion. You understand?
Hey, the barrier serum may be the right thing for you. Very good. It's probably it's what I call my multi-purpose go-to serum for every day. So
bring it. I'll take the roughest, toughest thing to make this face look a little bit inkling better. But again, for those of you tuning in, you can check it out. It's right there, evenprime.co. Go check it out, and you're going to be glad that you did. Thank you again for spending time with us, Melissa. Thank you as well.
Of course. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you.
No, thank you. All right, guys. So, look, we're almost at the end of our time here on the show. And I want to say a big thank you again, not just to Melissa Gonzalez, but, of course, the entire team over there happening and making what is – many people think that beta testing is super easy. It's not, okay? You got to manage a bunch of other people with their ideas, their thought processes. And it's running a campaign much more than the average person. I would never say that's the easiest part of launching a particular product. But here's what I think is really great about it. Obviously, and I say this all the time, back to our government. Shoot, if the government did more of beta testing, they probably would think of how to do things the right way rather than just hypothesize it in their own head, right? So I say, government, learn from our guest and create a beta test program of people. Oh, wait, that's right. You did already. You bailed out a whole industry And they lasted during the last debacle called the auto industry. So why can you not at least do that by the rest of the American people and do the right thing for each and every hardworking citizen out there, family member, men or women, and even the young ones, the young teenagers are starting to go like, what can I do to help support the family, right? Maybe it's creating a game. I know of some people that are making such great money at gaming, just playing these video games or content creating these on YouTube. It is amazing. I remember hearing of one kid who donated his amount of money. It was like $50,000 he made from Twitch by being a gamer, and he donated it away. I don't think he knew what the reality was of money at the time, but hey, his heart was in the right place. My point is this: there's a lot of different ways to make a lot of digital money and or real currency that sometimes some people don't even realize. You could do so via like another app, which she's saying no code is needed, Roblox. I remember doing that with the little 8-year-old, and he was saying, look, I think it needs this, and this. I don't like that, and that. And he was he's like, hey, he was creating in his own mind, his own digital game that he thought was interesting for himself. I said, good job, because you can actually go ahead and get that on Roblox and then make money from it. And there you go. There's an idea for you. Spend a week and a half, download the app. It's really cool. You can develop your own game on Roblox, and kids love it. Okay, people, I love you. Make it a great day, whatever you do. Remember, life is worth living. My time is up here on the radio station, but you keep doing you. Bye-bye, everyone. All right, and for the rest of you tuning in, yes, it is still alive and well. Let's bring up some of the comments here. Let's see. Feel free to comment here. I will pull up a couple again. Jesse posted that. It's evenprime.co. Go check that out as well. And you could do so. Get the information there. And Maria says, I love beta testing, right? It is really a cool thing. Subscreamer on Periscope says, US Gamer Geeks Rule. Thank you. Exactly. Let's see. Bobby's saying Amazon Addiction Porch Theft. I've never heard of it. I'm sure that's a pretty cool. I feel that's a game. I could be wrong. Don't be mad at me if I got that wrong. And more comments are coming in as well. Keep the comments coming because I got something to talk about that I talked about a little earlier. Look, I'm upset, I'm mad and angry. And I keep telling people, don't be upset, mad, or angry for the wrong thing, but be for the right thing. And here's what I mean by that. If you and or your family members are hurting financially, you're barely trying to put food on the table, you're trying to make ends meet, you're trying to figure out credit, right? Maybe you got a credit card, you got a couple credit cards, and you're like, I know I had to make a couple calls to some outstanding debts that I have to pay off, but I'll be honest, I was like, well, where's the money coming from after this, right? And then I thought, oh, stimulus. No, I don't, because I don't take from the stimulus bill. I didn't do so the last time. And I feel foolish for doing so because I feel like I'm barely making ends meet and I'm barely making enough to put food on the table. Now, if it did get to the point where I didn't have enough to put food on the table, I'd have to swallow my pride and actually take of it. However, for those companies and or businesses that really do need it, I say, good job. Good job. Get it done. Do the right thing. Do so by your employees. Look, the airline industry is not the only one to suffer from this. I could pull up a host of other industries, including businesses, employees that have been long-standing employees. And where do we go with this? Okay, unemployment, if let's say, let's just think through this, okay? Mr. President Trump, okay, you're a businessman, are you not? Then why would you make it so that companies would have a hard time financially making ends meet? I mean, agree to disagree. People keep saying this is the best businessman on earth. He's such a huge millionaire, right? Well, he's not a billionaire, right? What did his taxes prove? He barely pays enough in taxes to be able to like have a proper leg to stand on. And yet the Trumpanites all are out there going, no, you don't understand. That's how a corporation works. No, I understand and I get it. A lot of business owners and or CEOs, the smart ones at least, don't make themselves making all the money. They put it reinvested back into the business, reinvesting back into the employees to help grow the business. Oftentimes, the very smart CEOs and or business owners actually take as little from the top as possible to kickstart a business and get it to the next level, okay? That's the majority of business owners that really do the right thing by their people, and sometimes they pay themselves last, right? Granted, they have a share in the company, but until it becomes public and or they might sell it off to another entity, that, you know, it's not an overnight success. Very rarely is it ever an overnight success. Majority, I'd say about 89%, are often failures in the making. What I mean by that is, average company lasts about 3 to 4 years until it says it goes belly up. Don't believe me, look it up. And so you have the small margin of players which actually get to the 5th year and they finally start making a dime, meaning that they make enough to be able to support their own lifestyle and or career choice, right? Which is usually all invested in the business that they're investing all their time, all their energy, all their money in. So I applaud the entrepreneurs of life. I applaud the people. I applaud even the youth of our generation, which are doing so in a very smart way, taking advantage of the digital version, whether it be gaming, whether it be mobile app development, whether it be internet websites, whether it be whatever you can make money at. I say go and do and invest some time in and do that. However, back to the government. I've heard it often said, you can't depend on government. And I say, yeah, that's a sad fact. It's true. You can't depend on government to help bail you out. You just can't. And yet you have somebody begging on both sides of the aisle, keep us with our jobs, okay? And I say, let's run the government like a business, okay? If any one of you are derelict in duty and you can't get to making the right decisions for the people, you're gone. Out of there. And I think it starts from the top down. Or does it start from the bottom up? I don't know. Whichever, sideways, whoever is like, because I see a lot of rhetoric. I see a lot of people just sitting on their, like, they're not retiring. I say, you know what? Maybe you need to retire. I think there's some people in office and or the U.S. representatives of America, which also known as Congress. Let's rename that to be derelict in duty if you can't figure out how to make it make sense for the rest of humanity. I get it. You're not in charge of the world, but boy, you are in charge of the free world, and you're free to debate, demand, make unnecessary sense. Look, back to Pelosi, okay? I'm going to bring up an article to give everybody a little perspective, okay? Because I'm not all against Republicans for, or even President Trump for saying, whoa. I am against him saying, let's delay it till after the election. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. No, when you have a negotiation go bad, here's what you do. Okay, we don't like that. We don't like that line item, that line item, that line item. Remove half of them. Tell me which ones you want to keep. We're going to stay here till midnight, and there you go. Let's figure this out, okay, people? Look, I'll give you guys like 3 hours of sleep. Let's get back to the drawing board. Let's do the right thing and get this done. You know who ends up doing that usually behind the scenes? Bill writers. Do you know that the majority of bills written out there are not done by just the bill writer, but done by a team of bill writers, smart people, usually people that are smarter than the person writing or enacting the bill. So they have so many loopholes, so many little things in it that they end up thinking, oh, okay, look, well, let's get this passed, and hopefully nobody will see all of our loopholes, and we'll get this passed eventually if we get bipartisan support, right? Let's try to make that person agree with us, but then you have Republicans or Democrats saying, no, let's shoot this out because there's 25 line items that don't make sense, to which I say, okay, get those removed. Does the majority of it make sense? I'm going to go to a quote on this one. And I haven't read this, and we're on our after hours commenting here, so I'm going to do this very live. I might end up be the one like with pie on my face because I haven't done any research on this. But I'm going to research this with you guys, okay? Here it is. I'm going to go to The Hill. The Hill is a very interesting publication, all political. Oftentimes, sometimes skewed in a certain direction, but I'm going to take it as it is, okay? Donald Trump Jr., this is the headline, by the way. Trump Jr. pushes back on Pelosi asking if steroids influenced the president. Like, I don't know what that has to do with I'm going to read this article, okay, and let you know how I read articles, all right? Because I do. I look at both sides of the aisle. I do. all the time. Donald Trump Jr. pushed back on Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Wednesday after the Democratic leader questioned whether steroids influenced President Trump's abrupt decision to halt coronavirus relief negotiations. Oh, I get it. She's doing the whole, which I said, I mean, hey, is he mentally fit or unwell there? Because I don't think he should be making decisions while he's having coronavirus in the head, right? Because some do experience fevers, hallucinations. That's a proven fact, by the way. Go check that out. I can't blame her for I don't know about the steroid comment, but whatever. Pelosi floated the question on a call with Democratic lawmakers Tuesday after Trump tweeted to announce he had ordered officials to stop negotiating over another relief bill until after the November election. I'm not going to hate on her. I would probably said it a different way. I would have just said, hey, if he's got coronavirus and he has a fever, is he fit to rule right now? Can we put Pence on the stand? Let's do that. Let's get to the table, people. But this is what she said. Believe me, there are people who think that steroids have an impact on your thinking, so I don't know. Now, see, that's such a stupid comment, Pelosi. Why don't you get some doctors in there and make some smarter comments? Because that right there is like stupidity at its finest. And look, I'm not the first one to say, oh, I love Trump, but come on, let's use your thinking mind. Just keep it simple. Hey, the guy's got coronavirus. He gets fevers. Okay, reality is out of his head right now because who would do that dumb stuff? Trump's been prescribed a steroid, among other drugs, to treat COVID-19, which he was diagnosed with last week. Trump Jr. claimed, well, it's his dad, so what's he going to say? He's never going to go against his dad, right? Stands to lose billions, I imagine. Nancy has her own substance issues, according to the press and according to the media, so I won't get into that. It's obviously nonsense. What does that have to do? Okay, Trump Jr., if you're going to go at Nancy, here's what you say. My dad's fine. I visited him the other day, and I was behind a chamber so that I could visit him so I don't get coronavirus. And agree to disagree. He's fine. So don't stop the dumb mudslinging. That's called trying to push it over. Let's see. The same article goes on to say Pelosi's office did not immediately return a request for comment on Trump Jr.'s remarks. I wouldn't even bother. Trump Jr. is such, he stands to profit a lot. Financially, he's never going to speak out against his dad. Is he going to end up running eventually? God, I hope not. Seriously, that man, ridiculous statements I've ever seen from him. During his appearance, Trump Jr. promoted the Republican argument that the Speaker and Democrats were pushing for $1 trillion of excess nonsense to bail out Democrat cities as part of the negotiations. Isn't this guy a businessman? Why is he just wanting to get in the thick of it? He's wanting to run. I get it. Oh, so he's trying to make all these comments now. Whatever. Pelosi has pushed for a $2.2 trillion stimulus package that includes hundreds of millions of dollars in funding for state and local governments, money the GOP has panned. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin, also, who had represented the administration in stimulus talks, had been hesitant to clear a bill going above $1.6 trillion. Honestly, I've already done the math. Here's how much you actually need. You need $3.8 trillion to put everybody back to work, get things done right, and you have to have in there a percentage of amount saying, look, we're going to financially provide for you the proper equipment to keep your businesses safe, and there you go. Don't believe me? Do the math. Donald Trump, let's see. Trump Jr. accused the Democratic leader of having the American taxpayer pay for her radical left agenda. That's always whenever they throw it like that, let's throw some facts into the figures, okay? Whenever people start name calling or say, oh, you're radically left or you're radically right, that's just a way of saying, I don't agree with you. Don't listen to that person because we don't want to think radically, right? I say start thinking radically to make the American people get paid the proper amount to weather us over this little storm we're on. When you have a hurricane, when do you call FEMA? Do you call them after, like back to Katrina? Oh, guys, that levee's broke. Well, how long did that take FEMA to get done, right? You put them on standby in the event that something really bad happens, and then they're ready to go at a moment's notice. But the president doesn't know about that because he has yet to do that in proper form, fashion, and or time. Oh, no, he's done that? Okay, to you Trumpanites, I say, agree to disagree. Look up the research. It usually takes a while. Let's see. Trump Jr. told Fox News, Donald Trump simply wants to get money to the American people, but if the Democrats continue to do this, to try to drive that narrative as though they pulled out, it's absolutely asinine. That's a big word for a little guy. Look, at the end of the day, okay, I'll add more of what he says so I don't get trumped by Trumpanites. They asked for a wish list of totally ridiculous things that have nothing to do with getting the economy going. You know what? I'm going to agree with you on there, Trump Jr. I'm going to agree with you there. Because I saw an article, it was quick, it was fast, and I'm like, what does that have to do with everything? Things that would only be there to fund, again, a radical leftist Democrat wish list. However, Trump Jr., I'm sorry, but Republicans have done that throughout the beginning of time. Both sides do that. They throw in stuff for their political agenda for the people that fund them in the end. Each and every one has done this on both sides of the aisle. Republicans that do that, Democrats do that. If the American people were smart enough to look through all of the line items, they'd say, well, what does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? Here's what I say, do a People's Choice Awards, okay? We'll release it to everybody once again. I think you guys have done that. And let's make sense of each and every line item as a people. Let's do beta testers. That's a phenomenal idea, isn't it? Bring in about 1,000 qualified, smart people. Have them do a test. Make sure they make smart decisions. Have it split down 3 ways, okay? The independent, the registered independent that could go left or right. The Republican, the Democrat, and do, what is that? Yeah, even it out. And then let's do a live stream of that episode. I think that would be awesome, right? I know people are like, we can't do that. Why not? Come on. President Trump's from the world of entertainment. He's done things all the time that people are like, this is entertaining. I just want to watch for fun. Okay, let's see. Let's scroll down. President Trump cut off negotiations on an overall coronavirus stimulus package Tuesday, alleging Democrats were not negotiating in good faith. You're the master of negotiation. Come on, that's a stupid line. Hours later, he advocated for certain provisions that had been part of the talks, such as legislation for stimulus checks, assistance for the airline industry, and small business loans. Okay, good. Yet the airline industry is saying, why did you delay it till after the election? Shouldn't you figure it out before the election? Show your ability to negotiate in the middle of it all. In fact, you would, if you were able to do it right here, right now, show that you're completely not have a fever, don't have hallucinatory like moments, and you're actually making more sense than not. Why don't you throw that information out? If I could throw out some information to people via live stream, I think you could do it too, President Trump. Seriously. His declaration of support for these measures came after stocks nosedived following his announcement that negotiations on a stimulus package would stop until after the November 3rd elections. Yeah, when's that going to happen? November 3rd, you're going to be voted out, or you're going to be voted in, and then you're going to start saying, oh, well, now that I'm in, or are you going to push your own agenda? Don't believe me. Believe me, Trump has an agenda. He's got businesses that profit. Come on. So many people have called that to the table, but nobody ends up holding to it because there's so much fake news out there, right? Agree to disagree, whatever. The president made the announcement a day after he returned to the White House after spending 3 nights at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center due to his positive coronavirus test last week and reported low blood oxygen level. Again, to the brain, if you have low blood oxygen level, guess what? You're not getting oxygen to the brain. I would agree with that statement. Trump was given a cocktail of therapeutics, including dexamethasone, which seems to increase the survival rate of severely sick COVID-19 patients, but also can cause mood swings. Ouch! That's going to the Hill. And the Hill's usually pro-Trump, by the way, just so you know. All right, so there's that article. That gives you a little, but not a lot of perspective, right? So I'm going to go to another one. I'm going to type in Pelosi, and I'm going to type in, you know what? Forget that. I'm going to type in stimulus bill, why bad? Okay, I'm Googling this, okay? And let's go to the news. Let's skip Newsday. That's obviously anti-Trump. It says Trump's bad move on stimulus. I've already done enough badness there. Let's do, because everybody's attacking Pelosi, but Pelosi's not the only thought leader there, right? Let's scroll down. Let's click on this one. This one's by Fortune, okay? Fortune is this one, okay? Here it is. And I appreciate your comments on social media. Keep them coming, by the way, okay? Look, agree to disagree. I love people that love Trump. But learn to find out all of everything before you start preaching to the choir. This is the headline. Very, very far apart. Pelosi and Nukin fail. Hold on, they're asking for my email. Fail to reach a deal on bill including stimulus checks and enhanced unemployment. Okay? So you see how this one's being skewed against the other cap. All right, here we go. Stimulus negotiations between Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi fell apart on Wednesday. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said we're very, very far apart. The White House went into the meeting with plans to up its stimulus offer from $1.3 trillion to $1.5 trillion and include provisions that would allow the package to rise to $2 trillion if the pandemic persists beyond a certain point. Newsflash, it's gonna... I don't know what the point was that they acknowledged, but look, look, 3 years is my prediction for this, okay? And that's hoping... Look, I get it. There's a lot of, work being done behind the scenes to get the proper vaccine out, but there's being so much work done on so many different vaccines. The question is going to beg itself, which one's the most effective one, and how many different ones can you get out in time to the American people? You going to get it out to every single person, or are you going to get it out to the most sick or the most vulnerable, which from as of last I've ever checked, you're starting to see teenagers, middle-aged adults, and elderly. So who gets it first? And then that depends on if it's the proper one for the proper time. Look, people often refer to it as another flu. The flu mutates each and every time, each and every year. The one that the current flu shot is good for is for the viruses that are out there of the flu virus strains, by the way. The flu virus is constantly mutating. Agree to disagree, look it up. Do the science math. That's all I'm going to say about that for now. According to this, Senate Majority Leader, he went on to say that, blah, 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 blah. Republicans acknowledged prior to the meeting that this was likely the last chance to get something done before the election. Not if you lock your guys selves up in a room and say, hey, shoot, live stream that stuff, let the American people see it and say, yeah, that one don't make sense. Yeah, that one don't make sense. And take out all the ones that just don't make sense. And get it done. And like I said, up into $3.3 trillion, and you'll be able to help out the American people for a very long time. Throw in a special incentive for businesses to be able to take additional money as long as it's made to be able to purchase the needed equipment to keep the business and or inhabitants safe. Seriously, invest in, look, it costs a minimum of $800 on the low end to get an infrared device which can actually make it so that people can see whether they come in to your facility with a fever. All right. If somebody's coming in with a fever, either they got a cold, a flu, and or another virus, you don't want that person passing along stuff. Back to President Trump. I think they said he had a fever. There you go. You wouldn't want him in the same vehicle, right? But there you go. Without compromise stimulus deal, Democratic leaders said they'll have a vote on a revised $2.2 trillion HEROES Act stimulus bill as soon as Wednesday evening. Well, that's good. So am I just? Oh, maybe they'll do the right thing. Well, I bet they won't. But if they do, I'm all for it. I'll applaud them right here on the morning show. I'll say, I was wrong. Good job, President Trump. You did the right thing. You held their feet to the fire. Back in May, the first version of the HEROES Act priced at $3 trillion. Yeah, hello. Like I said, $3.3 trillion. Did I say? It's upping in my head right now. Passed in the House, but it never got a vote in the Republican-controlled Senate. The updated version of the HEROES Act contains $1,200 stimulus checks, $436 billion for aid to state and local governments, small business aid, money for schools, as well as more aid for airlines. It goes well beyond that, as Fortune has written, including everything from funding for the post office to Amtrak to money to help close the homework gap for kids without internet access. A full list can be found on another website. The House bill makes, let's click on that website. Appropriations.house.gov. Oh, okay. Let's scroll down. Okay. Oh, look at this. Violence Against Women Act. $375 million with a waiver of the local match requirement, including, get this, $100 million for grants to combat violence against women, $100 million for sexual assault victims assistance, $50 million for assistance to tribal governments, $40 million for transitional housing assistance grants, $25 million to enhance culturally specific services for victims of domestic violence, $25 million for outreach and services to underserved populations, $20 million for rural domestic violence and child abuse enforcement assistance, and $15 million to support families in the justice system. A total of $375 million with a waiver of the local match requirement, including that. To which I say, okay, all right. Let's scroll down. Let's see. Defense. Ooh, defense health program. Let's. What does that mean? I'm gonna skip that one. Let's see. Operation maintenance funding. What's that? Oh, I get it. Okay, protective equipment. Oh, look, it's already in there. Huh. Look at this. Operation maintenance funding. $320 million for supplies of personal protective equipment for military services and $1.4 billion for salaries and other needs of over 55,000 base employees of child care centers, lodges, food operations, exchanges, and other recreational activities that are normally paid by revenue. Well, I would take out the recreational activities. I mean, that's not necessary, is it? Let's scroll down. Okay, energy and water development related agencies. Yeah, that's kind of necessary. Financial services and general government. Meh. Okay, well, you know what? Let's go into that. Let's see if all these are needed. Treasury Inspectors General. $35 million for the Treasury Inspector General for oversight of coronavirus fiscal relief fund payments to state and local governments, and $2.5 million for the Treasury Inspector General for tax administration for oversight of IRS payments. The government's funding the government through this plan? Shouldn't they keep it separate? I thought this was for everybody. Agree to disagree. It's necessary, right? We got to fund government to fund themselves. Okay. Let's see. Community development financial institutions. $1 billion for economic support and recovery in distressed communities by providing financial and technical assistance to CDFIs. You know what? That one is so, like, limited. The ones that are, like, barely have a little, like, I always go, what does that mean? That's so ambiguous what you just said. What about this one? Assistance to homeowners. Oh, okay. Huh. Well, I'm glad they listened to me. I actually said back in April, I threw out a way to fix the home environment for each and every person out there. And honestly, it didn't cost $21 billion. But let's see this. $21 billion to states, territories, and tribes to address the ongoing needs of homeowners struggling to afford their housing due directly or indirectly to the impacts of the pandemic by providing direct assistance with mortgage payments. Oh. Property taxes. Property insurance. Whoa. Utilities and other housing-related costs. So this is already in there? How come people are getting kicked out left, right, and center? Okay, let's scroll down. Broadband. Well, I made a recommendation to a particular business. They didn't want to listen to me. Broadband, $12 billion to close the homework gap by providing funding for Wi-Fi hotspots and connected devices for students and library patrons. $3 billion for emergency home connectivity. $200 million for telemedicine grants and $24 million for broadband mapping. So are they making use of this behind the scenes and we just don't know about it? Oh, okay. Well, I feel bad for the people that still don't have broadband, people. All right, let's scroll down. Let's see. Homeland Security. I'm all for Homeland Security getting the money, but do they really need to be part of the stimulus package? Aren't they already funded in a different way? Okay, I'm going to throw this in there. Let's talk about it. We all need Homeland Security. I'm not one for, like, take it away from Homeland Security, but when you talk about stimulus bill, I kind of think you should keep it separate. There should be a government-enabled bill. Okay? Because I think everybody wants to fund themselves, right? And then you should do an American people bill instead of calling it a heroes bill, right? Agree or disagree? Whatever. Okay. Federal Emergency Management Agency, also known as FEMA, $1.3 billion to prepare for, and respond to coronavirus, including $200 million for the Emergency Food and Shelter Program. Okay, I agree with that one. $500 million for assistance to firefighter grants. Okay, fine. $500 million for staffing for adequate fire and emergency response grants, and $100 million for emergency management performance grants. Okay, I take back what I just said. I didn't realize sometimes we forget about the people on the ground, right? In addition, prohibits the use of funds provided in the bill from being used for other purposes, for AFG and safer waives cost-sharing requirements for cash-strapped fire departments, and waives certain other program requirements in order to help expedite grant awards. I'm going to pretend I understood that. I probably need an attorney to figure that out for me. But look at this one. Office of Inspector General, $3 million for oversight of the Department of Homeland Security's pandemic response activities. Why is this being lumped in with the rest of the American people? I mean, okay, all right, I get it. Let's fund the government. Because they're not hurting, right? Yeah, okay. Let's see. I'm going to scroll down. Fish and Wildlife Service, National Park Service, Bureau of Indian Affairs, Department of the Interior, Environmental Protection Agency, also known as EPA, Indian Health Service. Thank God, seriously. Native Americans have not been treated well on this. I just wonder if they know that this exists. National Endowment for the Arts. What? 135 million for the National Endowment for the Arts for grants to support the general operations of recipients and language to permit the waiver of matching requirements. I don't even know what that means. I love the arts. We do not need to fund the arts. I'm sorry. That is a huge, that 135 million I would appropriate into back to children. Okay, let's figure out 135 million for. I'm sorry, people are going to take issue. Well, I want to be able to paint and draw, and so do I. I love that. But right now, we need to do the right thing. Okay. National Endowment for the Humanities, 135 million for the National Endowment for the Humanities for grants to support the general operations of recipients and language to permit the waiver of matching requirements. I don't even understand that statement, but it's $135 million that, hello, could probably go back into healthcare. Agree or disagree? Put that up to the American people. Go, hey, let's go line item by line item. Let's see if we all agree, okay? And let's vote on it. Seriously. Let's see. Let me scroll down. Let's see. Okay, I agree with all that stuff. And I'm looking at stuff which is good for, healthcare people. Legislative branch. Oh, really? Let's look at that. House of Representatives. What? You put in your own pay scale? What? Because you wanted to put in your own pay scale? Maybe I'm misreading this. Okay, just hold on. Let's keep government going, right? House of Representatives, $37 million to support expanded House operations such as tele-town halls, video conferencing, remote hearings, and cybersecurity. Funding will also support changes to member office space, such as providing plastic barriers. Are you kidding me? Who's making the money over there? You know how cheap and inexpensive it is to do the whole every video conferencing thing? It's not $37 million. I get the cybersecurity thing and remote hearings. Okay, I'll understand that, but come on. Senate. $6.3 million for teleworking and IT needs, as well as funds to supplement daycare operations. What? So to keep the Senate going, how many people are in the Senate? To keep their daycare operations going, you see what I'm having a hard time with this? $6 million for teleworking and IT needs, as well as funds to supplement daycare operations. If you're a human being working at home, providing for your own Zoom calls financially, figuring out your own work for your daycare, maybe that's a different daycare. I don't think that's child daycare. Okay, we're going to agree to disagree on that one. I think that could have been removed. Come on, Senate. You're really putting yourself in this one? That should be a different bill. You shouldn't even fund yourselves like that, right? Do the way of the hard thing and follow President Trump and say, you know what? I'm going to have to figure out another job to supplement my income because you guys are dressing really good, really nice, and I haven't seen any of you lose weight. Seriously, none of you have. I've noticed, by the way. You eat quite well on the side, just saying. Office of the Attending Physician, $600,000 for COVID-19 related needs and vaccine purchases. What? $600,000 for related needs, COVID-19 and vaccine purchases. I thought that was your healthcare plan. Why is that being put in the hero? U.S. Capitol Police. Okay, $12 million for basic safety items, temporary lodging for on-duty officers and civilian employees to address concerns about the potential of community transmission to family members and recovering the higher costs to initiate virtual hiring and begin conducting virtual testing and background checks. $12 million to the U.S. Capitol Police. I think that should be more, don't you? Congressional Budget Office, $1.2 million to support teleworking and but you see these little line items? And they're so broad, right? What does that mean? That's what the bills actually. You gotta go here. Again, oh man, Architect of the Capitol. I'm sorry, what? $150 million for bulk purchasing and distribution of face coverings for members and on-site staff, as well as gloves and thermometers. In addition, this funding will support enhanced cleaning of the Capitol campus. Why don't you buy your own stuff like the rest of American people? Why do you have to put it off on taxpayers? Agree to disagree, but I mean, it's not, half of you aren't even using those face masks, and yet we're paying for it, right? Okay. Library of Congress, $12 million for unanticipated IT costs associated with library and CRS staff having to telework during COVID-19. All right, you know what? I'll give it to that, I guess. Government Printing Office, $7 million for lost revenue due to increased printing demands and regular orders from Congress and federal agencies, including the U.S. passports. Seriously, you guys should keep yourself separate from, like, the American people. Government Accountability Office, $88.5 million for GAO. You know what? Remove all of your own purchases for yourselves and see if you guys agree on something. I think you guys just want to line your own pockets. I really do. Okay. Oh, okay. Military, construction, veterans affairs, and related agencies. I get it. But here's my reality, okay? My reality is this. Usually when you create a budget, you do the family's needs first. You understand? Back to the American people who actually pay the taxes, pay your subsidies and whatnot. Where does the money come from? It doesn't come from your pockets. Agree to disagree. It doesn't. Even President Trump hasn't donated, right, a lot. His taxes show that. Okay, but I'm sure his corporations pay enough in taxes, right? No, they don't. They always figure out the tax loopholes. Oh, those tax loopholes are for big citizens of the United States of America and beyond. Okay. All right, so look, I get it. You got to keep government moving, right? This is the government that took a vacation in the middle of coronavirusville. That was like, what, a 2-3 week paid holiday? Hello? What, they couldn't forego that? How much were they getting paid for every single day off? I haven't gotten a day off. Have you gotten a day off? I'm sorry. You can't go at government because government's got to keep going. Well, then, you know what? I can almost guarantee you do 2 different bills, one for just government and the other for the American people. Boom, you'll decide that very quick, very fast. Okay, I'm gonna take look. Military, construction, veterans affairs, and related agencies. I'm gonna take away from that. You got to pay into that. I get it. Let's see. Let's scroll down. Transportation, housing, urban. Yeah, I get that. I understand that. That's needed, necessary. General provisions, man. Higher education provisions. Okay. How long is this? Oh, it's like, you know, let me scroll all the way to the bottom. 87 pages. I got a lot of time on this broadcast, but I think a lot of you are going to be bored by this. But you see my point in this? My point is this. Agree to disagree. There's a lot of stuff can be trimmed. A lot of fat in that. A lot of fat. And let's face it. You got a lot of fat in a bill. Trim it down, right? Buckle your belt and say, okay, we're in it for the long haul. What are we going to do for the right of it all? Let's not do the wrong thing. You know, people always say, what do you mean when you say do the right thing? That's subjective. I say, well, don't do the wrong thing. Prove to me each and every one of these line items why it's right and not wrong. And then I want the opposite side to prove to me why it's wrong and not right. And then somebody's got to be in the middle saying, okay, I like a Judge Judy member, right? I believe your story. I don't believe yours. I think you're lining your pockets. Next line item. Done. And then, I know, I get it. The American people can't vote on that, right? Not really. All right. Whatever. It is what it is. What am I going to do? Let's see. I got comments coming in. I'll share a couple of these. Here we go. Let's see. Maria says this, because he wants to hold the money till he gets elected. He thinks that will make people vote for him. And you know what? I'm not going to lie. I think there's probably something a little bit below that. You know what I think is going to happen, to be honest? I don't know why I say this. I really don't. But I think the election is going to be pushed out a little bit more. I really do. I'm going on record saying it. I think the election is going to be pushed out a bit more because Trump's probably going to either say he's gotten worse, or maybe he won't say he got worse just to buy more time. Agree or disagree? I don't know. I know it's an unprecedented move, but if it happens, you heard it here first, okay? I could be wrong. I'm wrong on some things. I'm not right on everything. But if I said it, well, let's wait to see. Proof is in the pudding, right? Let's see. Okay, that's a good comment. I'm gonna leave that one off. Man, no. All right. So there you go. Oh, look, people, I've run out of time. I'm well beyond my time. So look, I'm going to end with this, okay? Here's a statement of the hour. When you are faced with a task to create a budget for yourself, focus on 3 line items, okay? Number 1, where are you going to live? That's number 1. Number 2, how are you going to put food on the table? And number 3, everything else remains a last priority. Everything else is lumped into number 3, okay? Figure out where you're going to live. That's number 1. Number 2, figure out how you're going to put food on the table. And number 3, put everything else in that line item of number 3, okay? If you are finding it difficult to find affordable housing and or move in with somebody that you love during this difficult time, because I think we're in this difficult time together, focus on where you're going to live first. Secondly, focus on how you're going to make enough money to be able to pay for your food line items. Maybe if you have kids, you have family members that need to or depend on you. Maybe you depend on them. Maybe it's reciprocal, right? A lot of nationalities actually do a very difficult part, and they all move in together. I know of one house which is actually a couple doors down. Honestly, you have about 8 people living in a 1-bedroom house, including the kids, right? Thank goodness they're little mini versions, right? Some are living in the bedroom, some are living in the living room, some are living in the dining room. It's a sad state of affairs when you see that, but you see a family trying to just bunker down. And I know because I see it every single day when I bring grocery items up the stairs where I'm at. I see the majority of people just sitting down, trying to share a family meal. And that's a sad reality that's happening that's not being talked about in the press. The average American, what they're doing to make ends meet. The average American, for that matter, the average world member around the world is just trying to bunker down. So forgive me if I get really upset with the government in place, that 9 times out of 10, they're not bunkering down. They have they have the faintest of clues. Believe me, no clue. Because I think if they were made to trade spaces with somebody on the very low end paid of the scale, they would suddenly say, okay, I lived that way for a week. I can't do it. We got to do something. Do that. I think President Trump, unfortunately, has lived with such a silver spoon in his mouth for quite some time. He's really never experienced what it's like to almost be homeless, to almost not be able to put food on the table for the rest of your family. His family sure haven't known what that's like. They live it quite comfortably. But I believe you, the American person, maybe you know, maybe you don't know. But I think you at least have an idea what it's like. Wondering where your money's going to come from, wondering how to pay the bills off, wondering how you're going to pick up the phone against that debit collector and or creditor that's giving you some money. Now you're wondering, how the heck am I going to pay that off when I got to figure out where I'm going to stay, figure out where I'm going to live, and figure out how I'm going to put food on the table. Look, obviously, nobody's going to want to trade spaces with one of us. Because if they were to, those decisions would not be a lot of rhetoric. I'm going to push it off, delay it. Then stop eating for a week and see how you feel, President Trump. The American people, especially those hardest hit, need help. They need the help. Just keep moving along. Don't be fearful. Easier said than done when you're living in a palace. Easier said than done when you have financial stability in your own life. Good job. I applaud you. Good job for becoming a great entrepreneur, making a lot of money in real estate. I get that. Good job. But when times are tough, when times are difficult, they say the true character of a man is how he treats those least among them. Not the very wealthy, not the very high end, not the very palace person. I get it. He's got coronavirus. You know how many other people have coronavirus and have dilapidated rooms and or hospitals around the world? We're privileged to have such a great healthcare here. We really are. But even our nurses and our doctors are putting themselves in harm's way. But why? Some of them not even seeing their families. I know it's old news, but it's still very current. Just because it's not current in the news doesn't mean it went away. All that I ask of the American people is do the right thing. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm not even going to ask you to vote. I think some think it's a fool's errand, to be honest. But here's what I am going to say. If you're going to vote for somebody that actually cares about the American people, that actually says, you know what? Yeah, I'm not going to take a dime. And guess what? I'm not going to eat for a week just to know what it's like. I'm going to dumb down myself just to experience what it's like as an average American human. I'm sure you guys have stories you haven't wanted to share about how you're barely trying to make ends meet. I'm sure you have your own stories. I'm sure you have your own thoughts on the matter. I'm sure you have things that probably nobody knows about because you've kept it such a guarded secret to not want to say anything to anyone because you feel people will look down on you. I've had conversations with 8 different people almost ready to become homeless. I talked to one woman and said, well, how are you generating any money for yourself? And she said, well, I'm living on food stamps. I have a friend providing for me a place to stay, but honestly, I don't know how I'm going to pay for tomorrow's meal. If that is what we have come as a forward-thinking free nation to have to deal and or not deal, maybe you're not dealing with that personally, but have a heart. Have a heart. If I were in the same room as any one of these representatives of Congress, easily padded with their financial pockets lined, I would say, have a heart. Was it so long ago you too forgot what it was like to be a youth, maybe not always with a silver spoon in your mouth? The ones that have the most rhetoric, the ones that are always, no, my right is right, your wrong is wrong, are usually those that are financially very well off. So, I'll end with this. Whatever you do, make sure to put food on the table, okay? All right, people. That's my time. I'm out. I'm done. Let's see. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for joining us here on the morning show. And again, keep it real. Whatever you do, again, just remember this. Times are tough. Change is strange. Don't throw caution to the wind. We got to be in it for the long haul. If you could plan for at least another 3 years, conservatively, I think we'll all get through this eventually. We will. We will. We as a nation have been through the thick and thin of it, right? The thick and thin of it. Granted, never into this realm of existence where it's a worldwide existence. People going to war, people having viruses, like new viruses popping up each and every day. Some often say, is it the last days? Is it whatever? Look. I have my own thoughts and theories, but it doesn't really matter. Just getting through each and every day is sometimes a challenge, okay? So let's be very in the moment. Let's live in the moment, and let's remember this. Whatever you do, think about those around you. Think about the actions that you do here's what I'm trying to say. if you have to think on what to do next, think in this way. A, how can I help myself put food on the table? B, how can I help someone else out? And C, how can I live for the next 3 years financially? And if that's too difficult of a question, then say, how can I live for the next at least month and a half? Focus on that. Okay, focus on the next month and a half and do what needs to be done. All right, people. I appreciate you. Thank you so very much. Again, shout out to those that sent us stars as well. I think Katya Wunderlin donated some stars there. I think a while back. I forgot to say thank you. I apologize. I got kind of sent 50 stars. Thank you, Katya Wunderland, and everybody else who's ever donated on this show. Thank you as well. I do appreciate you. Some people think I get paid a lot. I don't. I actually get paid nothing, unless, of course, advertisers advertise with me and or the morning show directly, and that's just the way it is. So a lot of people don't know that, but there it is. Okay, so that's information I've talked about quite often. People don't understand. I do this from my heart. And I put my heart out there to help each and every one of you, okay? Sometimes I get paid really well by advertisers that want to sponsor the show. And sometimes I get paid nothing, and I got to make ends meet, okay? But I drink shakes all the time in order to get by, which is partly how I lost so much weight over so much time. But there you go. So I know what it's like to barely put food on the table. I get it. All right, people. I love you. I appreciate you. Make it a great day, whatever you do. Remember, life is worth living. Live it well. Bye-bye, people.